Well, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that because of the increased competitiveness in the marketplace, organizations are now paying more attention to strategize the real estate and facility management functions to have a visible impact on the bottom line. In Sync, the IFM Summit provides a platform to exchange ideas, think big, and also formulate new business plans. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we begin with the IFM Summit's focus presentation by Mr. Jairam Panch on the enterprise alignment with building services and the relevance of infrastructure and FM to the core business. Mr. Panch is a managing director at Turner Project Management India Private Limited, which is the Indian arm of the Turner International USA, a global project management company. In fact, he holds a degree in architecture from the National Institute of Technology, Nagpur, and a postgraduate diploma in urban and regional planning from the CPT University, Ahmedabad. So let's have a warm round of applause, and please help me welcome on stage our first speaker for the summit, Mr. Jairam Panch.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Great. So, let me thank you all and Mangla and the entire team IFM for inviting me. First, when Mangla called me, I was asking, what am I going to talk? I'm not a facility management guy. So, but when I dug deeper into the whole issue and said what it means and how the theme's evolving around, what it struck me was we belong to the building segment and we create the buildings for you. So the problem starts for you from us. So I thought it's a better way to address in terms of the challenges that we face in the day-to-day building industry, right from the construction process, and how we as a company has evolved over a period of time in making sure that we are having a lot of lessons learned, which we tie it back into the building segment right when we start the design phase and to making it in more a livable built environment. I think at the end of the day, that's what we are all striving for. So the focus of my presentation is going to be how start with the facility management job that comes at the lap of so many experts here becomes more, it's less repetitious and it becomes more sophisticated, technology oriented, and we are able to have answers to our own problems. So she gave a very good introduction about Turner and myself. That's what it is. I've been with the company for the last 17 years. I've worked on a lot of complex buildings in the Middle East as well as in India, right from malls to commercial buildings to hospitals to hotels and this. So I thought I've got a kind of experience, living experience in terms of what I have gone through over the last several years. So I'll be very specific to the timeline that's been given by Mangla. So let's start with the presentation. Thank you. So I thought it's better to talk about the goal in terms of creating a better environment, which is user-friendly, cost-effective, resource-efficient, flexible, and sustainable. And I think over all the challenges that we face, we definitely have all these kind of key words which we are striving for, and we always have some kind of a methodology to make sure that we are able to achieve this. What are the pain points? All of you must be knowing this list. These are the pain points at the end of the day when we kind of finally hand over the building. The building is up and running, a lot of issues that come there, but it all talks about one, we're talking about excessive power bills, we're talking about leakages, we're talking about building envelope problems, maintenance, both technical as well as the cost aspects. We're talking about the building appearance. Someone asked me, how do you make a clean India? I was just telling them, just go and paint all the buildings that we have. You don't have to do anything in the country. You maintain good footpath, make sure people are able to walk together, see to it that all the signages are at the same levels and making sure they are all, well organized. Say if you can go to Jaipur, you will see that. And then you paint all the buildings. I think we have a clean India right away. Building appearance really is very important. Spare parts. It's a big problem, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. There are a lot of issues that comes back and starts biting the FM team. Safety and security. Security is extremely important these days, and as we have a lot of Class A buildings, 5-star hotels, hospitals. So how do we kind of make it more active? I mean, not the security that somebody is just opening the car bonnet and checking it and then shutting it down. I mean, To me, it's absolutely superficial level of security that we are doing it. How it can be built more inside and become a part of the whole process. Housekeeping, cleanliness, technical knowledge and trained staff. I'm sure everybody here must be facing that challenge. I mean, as a senior management of the company, how do we get a technically trained staff who understand the building systems, which is kind of evolving? IT has really taken over. It's become very IT savvy. It's not the conventional system of taking care of the building. So you need to have staff with good technical knowledge, and the technology changes and IT oriented because it's evolving. I mean, we are learning from the West, we are learning from the East, and we think what is relevant for us, we use it. So there's a lot of improvement that's happening. So what's our approach? I would like to walk through as certain things that we really do. It's not something that we are, I put it for the sake of putting it for the presentation here, but what we really strive to do, not only we did it internationally, we're also doing it in the Indian market. So begin with the end in mind. So understanding the client's expectations. What does the client need? He has a host of issues saying that get this done when we enter, and there's a very good design brief. As we go through a lot of issues on the project, finally the client comes to a stage, just get the building done for me. So, we want to move away from that particular concept and make sure it says that we really understand the client's expectations. Get the feedback from the end users. You have the tenants. We have experts like you. We have so many other people. When we say, okay, this is the feedback that we get. Like we just handed over a big mall in Noida. So, but we did a lot of exercise when we did that, and we understood what are all the pain points when the end user starts coming and occupying the property. And we started to address them right from as far as possible as soon as when Turner got inside the project. So that lessons learned always comes back and helps us in making sure that you don't commit those same mistakes and we are able to improve upon it. Sustainability. Needless to say that there's a lot of emphasis on it for all the right reasons. How can we reuse? How can we recycle? How can we make it more energy efficient? How can we make sure that it ties back to the next item, which is the low maintenance and operation cost? And how can we make it more livable at the end of the day? So for that, at least we know that less is more. That's the concept. So the more we are able to, less number of gadgets, optimization, efficiency improvement automatically gives you a better product. Fire and life safety, very important. We have seen last year in Dubai, three or four major buildings that went on fire. A lot of issues. I don't think anybody could have done anything. It starts with the kind of material probably someone was using or someone had proposed or specified on the building. So how do we reduce this combustible materials? How do we make sure that adequate knowledge is available to the people? There were also incidents recently in Powai and so many other places. Even Bombay has got it. There are a lot of skyscrapers coming up. The management and fire and life safety is going to be a big challenge. It's not that the snorkels can reach up to that level. It can definitely not reach. It needs to have an inbuilt mechanism. Long service life of the building systems and equipment. We all love for it. A system breaks down even after 2 years after the handover and the tenant starts complaining, and we need to start addressing it. So there needs to be a good check on what is being specified. So in short, invest on CapEx and save on OpEx. And it's quite tough to start talking about it at the beginning, when you talk to the client and say, put in more money, it's important. So that's why when we do a value engineering as project managers, they say, are you cutting down costs? We are looking at the life cycle of the building. The life cycle cost of the building is extremely important rather than saying is the immediate, what we are getting a benefit out of it. So the other thing we do is involving them early, all the stakeholders, which is the owners, architect, consultants, contractors, and facility manager. It's extremely important. We even advise the owner on the job in Noida saying that bring the FM at least 1 year before. So that 1 year before when we had all the people, it helped a lot, helped in the tenancy coordination, helped a lot in understanding the MEP systems that are coming, helped a lot in understanding the design. If you understand the design, the team understands the design, there is nothing like it. The next maintenance they're going to do, it becomes a cakewalk. So I'll just walk through the four stages of the project life cycle, which is the design phase when we are launching the project, the construction, the handing over, and then the maintenance. So what do we do are the key focus areas during the design phase, right from the site selection and planning, sustainable architecture, making sure that the sustainable services design, water and energy, sewerage, envelope design, building materials, space management, landscaping, drafting the construction contracts, and focus on details. All these things are done, if you tie it back to the earlier slide, of keeping the end in mind. That's what we do in terms of understanding the whole thing, making sure everything is durable, everything is, we are using the latest systems, understanding the pros and cons, involving every stakeholder, and making sure that, all the comments that we are getting, put it down into the design phase, and we say that, okay, when do we need a handrail? Are we ready for the handicapped? Are we really taking care of the elderly, making sure the floors are not slippery, making sure that we are selecting the most thing that's durable, staircases have the right kind of access in terms of the treads and the risers. All these things kind of come up at a later date and saying this envelope has got leaks, it doesn't have a fire stop. All these problems cannot be fixed at an FM stage, it has to be fixed at the building stage. And then say that, this is the way building needs to be really built so that you are able to achieve a greater degree of efficiency when it comes to the maintenance part of it. Approach. So how do we do it? So this is the suggestion that we have. We need to have a facility management guidelines and checklist into the contracts. I don't see this happening all the time. It's just bits and pieces that comes back. So with all the experts here, if you are able to get something for a typical residential, commercial, hotel, hospital, industrial facilities and say, this is the kind of work that you are doing, and you say that, give us a guidelines checklist into the contracts, it will be very useful to start checking it right from the beginning. Integrate facility management inputs at the design stage. That's what we will be doing. Consider owner's audit requirements and special considerations. This happens all the time. The building is in progress and suddenly someone comes, third party comes and starts auditing the entire thing. And way out, probably we are in the third quadrant of the entire construction project cycle. And someone says, we need to do this, we need to do that. We are way too late. We can't go back and start ripping off the system. So we feel that all those things have to be included at the design stage. I'll just quickly mention about the CDocs and eDocs that Turner does. Turner CDocs is a construction document, it's a web-based tool during the construction. And the Turner eDocs is an owner's web-based digital facilities manual. So what we do with the CDocs is we have an online SharePoint system wherein we have all the stakeholders collaborate, start working on the drawings, put all the information, and we have everything kind of tied up there. And when this moves on to what we call as a Turner eDocs, the owner gets a very good web-based digital facilities manual. So if you click on one particular thing, it says that it's a chiller. He will get the chiller manufactured, say York, year so-and-so, warranty is, expiry is this, SOS, you reach out to this guy and this. So it's pretty much like, it's kind of tied to the drawing, tied to the operation and maintenance manuals, tied to so many things. So we have this right now, not in India, right now we'll be using it in the United States. But to generate something like this on the projects that Turner is working on and to kind of give it as an end product to the owner, it's been extremely beneficial. So especially when it's being taken over by FM at a later date for maintenance, we believe a lot of pain points are addressed. Where is the drawing? Can I get an as-built? The reflector ceiling plan does not match the actual. The flow doesn't, it's probably a reverse flow. Where can I locate a grease trap? Where can I locate this? These are all the standard things that people ask when you get into it. So all those things we have an answer. So there's no physical storage space required, which is extremely important. That's, I'm not aware of the latest technology in India. Have we really moved from a physical storage to an electronic storage, wherein anybody can access it from anywhere. It's not just one person has to just open the file and take it and review it, even though it helps. It's very intuitive, staff will use and like it because these days everybody loves iPads and things like that. So probably someone can even make an app out of it actually. It's a good business tool. And it's a good industry practice. Construction. What we focus on improved delivery. We really focus on lean construction practices. We have reduced a lot of wastage on most of our job sites. We train the contractors, we work with them. We also learn a lot. It's a collaborative exercise. We have a very good quality control mechanism by working closely with the supervisors. That's the only way we can achieve that. We do a lot of material substitution where it doesn't make sense, and we suggest to the owner as well as to the client and the architect. And all of us would agree the focus on the construction is primarily on the wet areas. So in the residential segment, high-end, mid-segment, whatever, or an office, the biggest challenge is, despite India producing the best of engineers in plumbing and health and safety and mechanical, we are still not able to have an apartment or a building without any leak. So the best business to be in Bombay to be is to sell the blue color tarpaulin sheets. You know, I think that's the best, because regardless of the building that we do, at the end of the day, there is a problem. Come May, you will see that, you know, it's a good sale. So you're just thinking, you know, it's a good sales point. You can make good money short term within 2 months, because honestly speaking, even reputed buildings who have been designed by good architects and constructed by reputed contractors, finally, it's a shame to see the blue tarpaulin sheets over them on the roof and everywhere, saying that because it's just a protection mechanism. So we have a good way of going over it. On the jobs that we are working, we engage the supervisors as well as the waterproofing applicators. The people at that level don't even understand what they are supposed to do. The surface is not even prepared properly to take the waterproofing. The thickness is also not to that. They're all looking at the yield. Nobody focuses on the attention to the details. So it's a workmanship which needs supervision. It's not just the workmanship because I have a certificate with me, just like an ISO certificate, which means nothing, but it's just a selling point, but really doesn't come into application and say that, well, I came to you, Mr. Builder, and you have not given me a leak-proof building. So it's a big thing, podium, basements, and toilets. I think if we address that, I think 50% of the problems in this room pertaining to the leakages, especially on a building, if you're on a residential commercial, gets addressed. Coordination with trades, BIM. BIM is a big thing that we do. And we feel that truly it is extremely helpful for all of us in capturing the real information, 2D to 3D. We are also expanding it to 4D and 5D. And finally, handing over a document in 3 dimension to the owner. It helps. At the end of the presentation, I'll play just a 30-second video which just shows what we are doing on it, and it gives you a correct information. So those who are technical and those who are looking for some information will find this extremely informative. Testing and commissioning, this is something that we don't do on the buildings without participation from the FM team. And this is where the problem starts on commercial buildings. You all will know that how to run a chiller, how to maintain them, pumps, you know, power breakdown, lift maintenance, lift stop, lift breaks down, the automatic rescue system does not work. There's a panic there, someone stuck in the elevator for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, all these things are very common. How do we go about in addressing it and making sure that all the test runs and the integrated test runs are working? Handing over and close out. When I came to India, moved to India in 2007, I kind of realized that jobs that we are working on or jobs are being done in the country, I think this part of the entire construction process was not really given a lot of thought and attention. As a result, I know as the end user and the FM, they have a lot of problems. You don't have an as-built drawing, you don't have an O&M manual, you don't have warranties, punch lists, you just have to go around searching for it. How can we get more organized? How can we make it more relevant, making sure that, you know, everything is available at the click of a button? It's not difficult, everything is there, but we need to compile and put together. So it's our job when we start the process, that we will have to come and we will have to make sure that all these things are handed over to the respective people in a very clean fashion. So I'll just talk about it in a little bit in detail. So which is about as-built drawings. We have a final updated drawings in 2D. I mentioned about the 3D BIM drawings and models. Fully coordinated. When I say fully coordinated, architecture, services, and structure. Incorporating the changes and revisions. A lot of changes happen during the project life cycle. So an approved drawing at one stage need not be what is being really handed over. So the challenge that anybody faces in terms of having, are we having the latest drawing? We say, I don't think so, we have the latest drawing, we'll have to work on it. And having it in hard copies and electronic formats. Next, with the O&M manuals, we establishing the formats, making sure all the catalogs have the do's and don'ts, and group them together and handing it over to the end user. Warranties, obtaining all the certificates, have the accountability defined, making sure that from the contractor, subcontractor, to the vendor, to the supplier, if it has to be on a stamp paper, if it has to be for prolonged duration, everything is covered. Punch lists, make sure that we are closing most of them. If there are any open, we just walk them through with the team as to what they are open. DLP period, mostly the construction team does not have an involvement on DLP other than having occasional visits to the site and making sure things are being done. But obviously this becomes a big issue for an FM team to kind of take over and run it. So training the operations staff and delivering the maintenance books and and later on, the access is controlled by the next team that follows on. Approvals, completion certificates, making sure everything is in place, fire NOC, occupancy, substantial completion, notice to operate, all the key things that come at the end. And tomorrow when your tenant comes and says that, can I have a documentation of all this to make sure, it could be an MNC that is walking into it, they have their own audit checklist. They have a lot of other requirements. They say, I need to do a due diligence of the building that's there. So can we have all this information? So making sure that we are able to be of great help right at the beginning, it solves a lot of problem at a later date. Notice to operate. Similarly, attic stock, long lead materials, customized make, storage. Access control and master keys, primarily from the security standpoint. And this includes a lot of coordination with the tenants, making sure it's done without any gaps. System startup and commissioning. We have independent commissioning. We have an integrated testing and commissioning. It is done jointly with the stakeholders, definitely not without the FM team on board, so that a proper overlap is happening. Vendor training, specialist vendors training, and once again, documentation of every exercise that has happened. We also have the closeout meetings, which we start at least in 6 to 8 months or even early down when we're able to before handing the project, overlapping with the projects team and understanding the design and execution issues to the details. Understand the changes in revisions. This is very important because this is where the gaps happen, as I mentioned. Dry run of all the O&M manuals and so many other documentation. And finally, you schedule the submission and make the submission in electronic and hard copies. Training the FM team. We do that regularly. We have our team go and train the FM team before it is they're out. Who are the people? Are they qualified? We even interview some of them to make sure that the important plans are taken care of by the right kind of expertise. It's extremely important. How do we do the downtime, maintenance? How do we inform the team? Power shutdowns, everything. We have a full list that we give. We do the on-site as well as a classroom training. It's a trial period. And as we say these days, it's extremely IT enabled. So we do a lot of classroom training for that. So as I see, like, how are we going forward? I think the future trend is we have demanding owners and end users. The click of a button, people just Google and find out what's happening, what's the best practices in the West and what's happening there. So I don't think we can take the customers or an end users for granted because they have a lot of information availability. They are all very experienced and we are all moving slowly towards more sophisticated building systems and built assets. Absolutely. And that's the way to be. I mean, this hotel is quite old to the degree of sophistication that we have in this room and how it has been built and how it's being managed is just an example of it. Improved FM construction team interface. I think that's a big way we need to push this because for various reasons, the FM is brought in at a very, very later date or even after the entire construction process is over. And the owners team really are not there and people jump jobs and we're not having the right kind of interface there. So that interface will be of great help. So the moment you have the team really jiving together and we have at least 2 to 3 months of interface and they attend all the meetings, understand all the systems, and they're able to, take it over, independently run, it'll be in a much better shape. Training, we can't overemphasize it. It's extremely important. It has to be done in a regular manner. I also feel that, I'm not aware of this, maybe they are, but it's done in the West, like universities could offer specialized FM courses. People who come, they are not raw, they have a building background, they understand what are the real things that they need to focus on when it comes from the facility management. And smart buildings. So we're talking about smart cities. It wasn't that the smart buildings didn't exist. I think there's a lot of awareness right now. People realize that the systems need to talk to each other. The buildings need to talk to each other. They need to connect with the next building and making sure it's all Wi-Fi so that we can save a lot of space and communication hassles. So, but it's a good thing. So how do we do it? It probably takes away a lot of our problems, but it also increases our dependence on the systems. That's what happens. But we need to find a balance somewhere wherein we are able to address both the issues. Energy efficiency, LED has kind of taken over the whole thing. We say that it's changed the entire lighting thing, it reduces costs, and you can see everywhere people are just changing over and moving on to LEDs. It's a positive change. There could be another technological change that comes probably in another 5 or 10 years. Talking about efficiency, energies and all, we'll have to lay a lot of emphasis on the waste management. The solid waste management that we have and the systems that we have right now, I'm sure it must be discussed later on in the sessions today, it's abysmal. I mean, as we increase urbanization and we're having a lot of people stay in buildings and we start constructing a lot of buildings because all of us need to live, right? We all need to make money. So the only way is to make a lot of buildings. So what are we doing with all this end product? How is it being treated? It's not there. We're talking about net zero in the sewer. I think it's about time we start thinking about net zero even on the waste management, solid waste management that gets out of the buildings. It could be reused, recycled, segregated. It is segregated probably in the green buildings at the building level. But what happens the moment it gets onto the street, it's all one garbage. And then it just goes off. So a lot of things, improvements are possible. It's not that we in the country do not have an awareness. There's a lot of awareness that we have. But as usual, as everybody knows here, we struggle in implementation. So, but we don't have to give up. We just have to keep working on one thing at a time. And I'm sure that, all of us will be able to create a great building environment. Defining the FM standards, as I mentioned, if that's a takeaway that I could from this, forum, if you have something, I mean, I'm reachable. Mangala knows my email. Any information that you can pass it on to us, because we work with a lot of repeated clients on big projects. Residential, commercial, varied segments. It's extremely good for us to kind of take this and put it back into the design stage. It will be very helpful for everybody. So what all does is it minimizes the maintenance cost, improve rentals, lease, and satisfied stakeholders, and improves the bottom line. That's what we all struggle and earn for. So that's all I have in this quick and short presentation. Can we just play the video that I was mentioning before? This talks about BIM. It's again real time and what we do on some of the projects. And it's just an example, just a 30 seconds. I didn't want to take a lot of time, but we do have a lot of other presentations. So it's a walkthrough that we create of an as-built on 3-dimension. This is on AutoCAD Navis Networks. So you're looking at the services now. There we go. So you click that, it gives an information, it gives a sketch of what it is and what are the dimensions, what are the details, and what are the drawings that went into the entire thing. So once again, electronic format reduces, and I think the younger generation that's coming into it, they're all IT savvy. So they all want to work on laptops. They don't want to look at the hard copies and drawings. So things like this are happening in the country. BIM was done rather for the last 15 years in India, not just now. But unfortunately, we didn't take it to the implementation stage. Time has come and it's being done, and we are also joining the whole thing in making sure that we're able to create a great living environment. And our objective, trust me, is to make sure that we hand over great buildings to you so that we take away your pain points. Thank you so much. I'm open for any questions, if it's supposed to be here or it's later today.
We do have a room for questions. Could we have the mics passed on as well? I believe the gentleman here has a question.
Sure.
We have a mic to the right.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Shashi and Shashidhar. I am with Frost & Sullivan. We are a consulting and a market research company. You have very good expertise across India and Middle East. And when I was in Middle East last year for the FM Summit, I was interacting with the FM companies there, and like you rightly said, FM should be incorporated at the design stage. However, that is not happening. Even in Middle East, even in particularly UAE, there are buildings that are beautifully designed, but those buildings are very, very poor in terms of FM service. So how do you see the awareness with respect to incorporating FM at the design stage in these two particular markets, like say UAE and India?
It is possible. I mean, let's even do it here. I mean, what I would probably think is if you're having a tripod and if you start putting all the things that we need to incorporate and someone takes a note of it at the end of the day, we probably will have around 100 points. Right now, today, why do we have to even delay? We do it right away. And then you send it on an email to me. I'll send it over to most of my fellow colleagues and the consultants with whom we interact. So we can even make it as a starting point right away. It's a need. I'm not saying it is something that, if you talk to the consultants who design the buildings or the architects, it is not necessary that they are aware of some of them. But it's not they are aware of everything that can be taken care of. So it's a way to kind of do this backward integration and making sure that we are able to do it in the right way. So I would definitely urge, like, if Mangala could help, and this is a very good forum of all the experts that we have, list out 10 issues that, or 100 issues that comes out, put together it in an email. She can make it as a part of the magazine, and then all of us know what we need to take care, so that it's a wider circulation. So it reaches out to all the industry colleagues.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest restraint for the growth of the FM market. My second question is, you're talking about making buildings sustainable. So my question is, what is the premium that owners are willing to pay as against a normal building? Is it 5%, 10%?
The owners have started to believe in something what we used to sell, which is gaining popularity. I call it as value. I think that Indian client looking for value, we all know it's a very price sensitive market. India is a price sensitive market. It's a volume driven market. But they look at the value and they say that it's not the question of a 5% or a 10%. It's not that. Because we are challenged with great designs from international architects these days. So the designs are not the old conventional systems of any, say for example, if it's a commercial building, it's very different. You have landscaping mixed into it, you have sun angles fixed into it, you have solar panels that are there on the glass facade, a lot of things are there. So the client is willing to pay that premium depending upon the market segment and where he or she is located, that particular facility, and he knows there is a need for it. But I'm telling you, the move is happening from, there is a sophistication requirement right now. You talk to anybody, look at the designs that are there out in the, you go to Worli, you go to you go in Gurgaon, some places. Some of the designs are fantastic, which we never used to see before. So the client is willing to pay the value which he thinks, pay the premium which he thinks is really a good value for him. So I cannot give you an exact percentage.
So I think ultimately it will tie to the bullet point that you mentioned in your presentation, which is invest on CAPEX and save on OPEX.
Absolutely. So the life cycle cost is extremely important. And then when you walk through the customer on that and you say that this is what really happens, because when we get into it, the client asks us, can you perform value engineering? Value engineering is not just reducing costs. I can reduce costs and I'll say, okay, do it like this. That doesn't make sense. It's got a long-term impact on so many other things. There's no point in replacing most of the stuff after 3 or 5 years, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Honestly, that's a big challenge. The buildings we do very well here, after 3 years, it looks like it's a 10-year-old building.
I think that's it.
Sure, could be the last question.
Yeah. My name is Shirish Tare. I am with Urban Infrastructure Venture Capital. I just want to add something, not question, in this particular interaction. One will observe that the lot of problems in facility management come in the buildings which are for market. The buildings which are developed by the owner for themselves, whether it is a IT center or a manufacturing plant, whether it is by GE or Siemens or IBM for their own use, these problems are not there that much. And my observation, since I have worked on both the sides for a large number of years, that when it is an owner-occupied building developed specifically for a particular owner or a end user, he is already involving the end user, whether it's a manufacturer people or the IT people, and the established maintenance teams in that area, in that company. And it gives really the design which already incorporates the maintenance related aspect, or I will say to look for no maintenance as the burst criteria and then minimize maintenance. So I think this differentiation, I find it in the market when I switched from the owner side to the developer side, that the same thing is not meticulously looked by many of the developers when they build a building for market orientation. Maybe the cost is a criteria, market price is a criteria, but this is my observation.
Absolutely, I would agree with you, because any of the campuses you take of all the IT companies, be it Bangalore, Pune, anywhere, I mean, I think his point is well taken. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jairam, for sharing across your valuable insights with the August gathering.